Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. We will be learning how to make this beautiful ball gown. I'm going to be making for a 9-year-old. So if this sounds like what you would like to learn, let us get right into it. So I'm going to be putting all of the measurements that I used for this 9-year-old in the description box, but do well to take your own measurements. So these are the materials I am going to be using. I'm using 12 yards of this tulle net. You can make yours, bigger than this, okay, but I'm using 12 yards. I'll be telling you all the measurements and the materials. Then this is net, which I'm going to be using for the sleeve. I just got 1 yard. I'll be using just a little bit of it. I'll be using it for the cold shoulder. Then I am going to be using this material. It's kind of like a suit material, like kind of crepe, mikado something. It's just a shining black material, okay, and it's a bit stiff. Okay, so I got 2 yards. No, I got 1 yard of it. Then I'm going to be using this suit lining for it. So you can use any lining of your choice, but I want everything to look good. Then I'm going to be using this material to line the tulle nets. You can decide to use your doll face, you can use your mikado, anything you want. Then I got 4 yards of hard net. I'll be using 2 yards for this, then I'll be using 2 yards for the other ball gown I will be creating. Then I'm going to be using these beads and this brooch for embellishment. As you can see, there's a brooch on the neckline. Then I'll be using beads all around just to embellish it. You can use anything you want to embellish it, but these are what I'm going to be using, so you can make your own decision. So without further ado, let us jump right into what we have. So first off, we are going to be drafting the upper bodice. I like to draft upper bodice because I'm working with tulle net, so it's going to give me a bit control over it. If you don't know how to get your box, there is a detailed tutorial on how to get it. It's just half of your largest measurement. That's what you're getting. That's the measurement of the box. Then you can add anything like allowances, but because it's a child, I'm not adding allowances for the dart, so I'm using the exact one. Then I divided into 2, so for the front and back. So for the shoulder, I divided my shoulder into 2. Our shoulder is 13.5, so divided by 2, that is 6.75. So I'm using that for my shoulder. I'll be drafting the back and the front simultaneously. So I'm marking half of my shoulder measurement all across. Do well to take your measurement. So I am coming down by 0.75 for my shoulder slope. You can use between 0.5 to 0.75 for your shoulder slope because it's a kid, or you can do well and still use 1 inch. Everything is totally up to you, but this was what I did. Then for my neckline, know that there is a collar there, so I'm using 2 inches for my neck width. So I'm connecting to it. So I'm going to make this tutorial as fast as possible because I already made detailed tutorial on how to make ball dresses, so you can do well to check it. And other parts that I've already made tutorial about, I'll just link everything in the description box, so you can do well to check it out. So it's going to make this tutorial faster and not too long. So the next thing is to put our armhole, okay, which is going to serve as our chest line. The usual measurements for armhole, which is bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, or bust divided by 4 minus 1.5. Our bust is 30.5. okay, so that is the measurements. Don't forget, I'm going to put all of the measurements. I'm going to put it in the description box, so you can do well to check it out. And note that this my 9-year-old is tall. Okay, she is tall. So obviously it should work for you anyway. But she's tall. Let's talk, if we're talking about the height, she is tall. Yours might not be as tall as that. So just take that into consideration while drafting or while cutting. As much as it's going to be short and concise, it's going to be very detailed. Okay, so just follow what I'm going to do. Remember that our armhole is going to serve as our chest line. So I'm just trying to make the connection to my center front and my center back. If you want me to work more on kiddies dresses, just put it in the comment section. Or if you have any tutorial that you're finding difficult to analyze, any style, just let me know in the comment section. I really appreciate it if you can drop comments in the comment section, because by so doing the platform is going to push it out to more people that needs it. Okay, so now the next thing is to place our horizontal measurements. I'm just trying to get my measurement. For the bust is 30.5 here, so we are going to be putting quarter of it on it, so that will be 7.75. If you don't know how to read your tape, that's supposed to be a foundational course. Okay, if you don't know, you want me to do is just let me know. So I'm just going up by 3 inches and I'm coming out by 0.5, and I'm going to connect. You can just go ahead and just divide your armhole into 2, okay, and you just come out from there by 0.5. So I'm connecting it to where my bust circumference is at. So the next thing is to place my waist measurement. I'm just trying to do the calculation here. The waist is 24.5, so I'm going to be putting quarter of 24.5, which is 6.25 on both the front and the back. Remember, we are drafting both the front and the back simultaneously, and I am not going to be putting that on it because it's for a kid. Okay, so I'm just going to do that and connect all my measurements together to have one piece. This thing is very easy and very straightforward to do. All you need to do is just focus. Okay, so if you've gotten to this point and you are yet to subscribe, it is absolutely free, so do well to smash the subscribe button and make sure you like and share and comment. So for the back depth, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. You can come down by 1 to 1.5 inch, and like I said, we are going to put a collar there. Okay, so the width is 2 inches, so you don't want it to be too deep, okay, when you're placing a collar. Okay, so the width is 2 inches, and I came down by 1 inch, so that is going to work perfectly both for an adult and for a child. But for the front part, I'm coming down by 2 inches. I'm coming down by 2 inches, and I'll connect to 2 inches. So I'm using 2 by 2 as my dimension for my neck width and my neck depth, so like 2 by 2. So if you can't get the curve perfectly, you can just make a box like this and just just go up by the corner of the box, like maybe like 0.5 or 0.75, then you connect all together so you get a perfect curve. So this is one of the tips. Remember, we always give you tips and tricks. And now there is a sweetheart neckline, so I came down by 8 inches. Then I'm going to be connecting it to half of my armhole. You can make your sweetheart deeper, that is totally optional, but like I said, I'm going to be telling you all of the measurements that I use. So I came down by 8 inches, then I connected to half of my armhole for my yoke and for my sweetheart neckline. So now for the back, I'm just going to make this shape. I'm coming down, just connecting just the same place, half of my armhole down to 8 inches, and I'm making this shape. So I'm going to be making this keyhole line effect at the back. If you check the back where you see that keyhole line, so you can just just freehand it, just freestyle it to however you want, or how deep how wide you want your keyhole to be, but 0.5 is perfectly okay. So I'm just trying to label all of my pieces. The upper part is going to be yoke, which is going to be the two nets for the front and the back. Then the down parts, I'm going to be using that black material that I showed you at the beginning. So now the next thing for us is to cut all of this out. Remember that you can use any fabric of your choice, totally optional, but all the fabric I used, you can see that I have gone ahead to show you. And if you also use the same fabric, you're still going to get the results that I got, or even better, because my students are much more creative and smarter. Yes, I believe you to be. So I'm going to appreciate if you can also try this out and show me. So I'll go ahead to cut it out. So I've gone ahead to cut it out, and I've cut it out on my pieces. So I'm going to be telling you the measurements that I used. So for the yoke, I cut out 2 pieces each for the front and the back. This is totally optional for you because it's going to be carrying weight, so that's why I just decided to just double it. Then for my side seam, I added 2 inches, then I added ½ inch all across for it. And you know that the front is going to be cut on fold. Then I cut both the lining and the fabric. So for the center back, I added 1 inch for my zipper and then 2 inches for my joining allowance. Then the armhole, I added ½ inch, and I cut the lining. I'm using suit lining. So for this design, I cut out 5 pieces of both the lining and the main fabric. Then I also cut out 10 pieces for the interfacing. You can decide to make yours just one interfacing, but I decided to double it. So for this design, you can use anything you want. I think 10 inches by 4 inches at the top 4 inches, then a length like 10 or 12 inches. Then I just made this curve. So I'm just going to go ahead and prepare all of my pieces so that this thing we are going to move very fast. So remember that we are using 12 yards. So I'm going to be cutting the 12 yards into 3 yards. So that means I'm going to have 4 layers. So I'm cutting 3 yards each, and we have 12 yards. So I'm going to be having 4 layers. Then I'm going to gather each and every one of it separately. In the other ball dresses that I'm going to be using, I'm going to use a different method. So if you'd like to see, let me know. So you just go ahead and you gather it and use the length. Our length is 51 inches. Then the half length is 14.5 inches. Okay, so now I'm using this material to line my tulle net, and because the remaining length is 36 inches, remember our full length is 31, so I'm supposed to cut it on flea, but it's not going to cut because the width is 60. So I decide to pleat it. So I cut times 3 of our waist measurement. Then I use the length. Make sure that the length that you're using for this lining is 2 inches shorter than your tulle nets. Okay, it shouldn't be the same length. Make sure it's 2 inches shorter. Then for my main lining, remember we are using suit lining, I cut out 180 degrees, but because it is by 60, so I can't cut it out at once. So I decided to cut out 90 degree each. If you're finding difficult how to get it, make sure you check the video on how to cut out your flea. I taught you how to cut out different degrees. Okay, so your lining, the length, make sure it is shorter than your crepe fabric that you're putting under. So make sure it is 2 inches, so that, let's say, like 4 inches shorter than the whole length. Okay, so now we are going to be putting our ad net on our lining. So for mine, I came up by 7 inches from the hem line. This is totally dependent on you and the amount of tulle net that you have. Remember, I have 4 yards, but I'm using 2 yards for this particular ball dress, so I'm trying to maximize everything I have. Then the space in between, I decide to use 5 inches. Okay, so whatever length you're going to be cutting out, make sure it is longer than the space that you left, so that it's going to cover the next layer. Okay, so that it's going to cover the next layer. So if you're using 5 inches, you can cut out 7 inches as length. Then you're going to just cut out your long strip and you start pleating on each line. You pleat on each line just like that, and make sure that you pleat inside on the wrong side, not the right side. So you take your time and you cut out all of your pieces, then you go ahead and you pleat it one after the other. So this thing is very simple, and I'm trying to explain as simple as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do all of this and we move over. Okay, so now I have gone ahead to join the yoke together. So I joined, remember that this, before we move to that, let's just talk about this design. Okay, so I've gone ahead to join this, but I'm going to show you an example of how I did it. You place your lining, you fuse your interfacing on, you remember I'm using interfacing for the two, for both the lining and the main fabric. Make sure you pin. You remember I always say pin as much as possible. It is very important because pinning is supposed to hold your fabric in place. So after doing that, you just go ahead and you cut out the excesses. Just cut out the excesses because you don't want, when you turn it, you don't want it to be bulky. Okay, so you go ahead and you trim it almost to your seam line. Okay, so you just go ahead and you trim it gently. So after trimming, you will just pull it out like so. Make sure that you do this gently so that you do not rip your seam apart. That is why at the edge you have to double stitch so that it can keep your thread in place, because you're going to be turning like this. And when you're turning as well, you don't need to be aggressive, you get. So you just gently pull it out, all your curved edges, your pointed edges. You can just use your scissors to gently just pull it out, or you can use your pin as well to just pull it out gently. If you're here to subscribe and you've gotten to this point, no, you are not doing well. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button, and do not just do that, make sure you turn on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when I drop another one. So you go ahead and you iron all of your pieces. Remember that we have 5. Okay, so now let's talk about the yoke. I have joined the back and the front together. So you remember we'll be using one part for our lining and one part for the main. Do not join lining to your fabric. For this, we are joining lining to lining, fabric to fabric. So you join both, everything together, your yoke separately. You join it by the shoulders. You join the main fabric, the one that you'll be using for your main fabric, you also join it together as well by the shoulders. Then you go ahead to trim off all the excesses. This is the trick to working with tulle net. You have to make sure it is seamless, because all your seams and all the excesses will be showing, so there is no place to hide. That is why you have to trim the excesses almost to your seam. Okay, so that after you turn it, all the excesses won't be showing and they won't even know where you stitched it. So it's going to look neater. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut off all of the excesses. Okay, so after doing that, you now place your right side facing right side, and I'll tell you how to stitch it. So you stitch the armhole on the left and on the right. Then you go ahead and you stitch the center back as well on both sides. Do not stitch your neckline because we are going to be putting our collar there, so do not stitch it. Do not stitch where you're going to be joining to the main fabric as well. You can see what I did. I stitched just the armhole, okay, and the center back. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut out all of the extra pieces around, and we move to the next thing. So now I've gone ahead. You can see that you can almost not see where the seams are. That is the importance of trimming off all the excesses. And remember that you have to pin your fabric. This is soft. It's a tulle net. Is a soft fabric to work with. So pin as much as possible so that your seams are going to align, especially by the shoulder area. So you have to make sure that your shoulder line aligns with the yoke and the fabric. So you make sure that you pin. So after doing that, what you need to do is to turn it over. You can see how seamless this is. Okay, so if you follow my lead, you see that you come out with something beautiful. So you just bring out all of this and you iron. And be careful when you're ironing. If possible, you can just put another fabric on top so that you don't mistakenly burn your tulle net. Okay, so now the next thing is to attach the lower part of the upper piece together. So I'm just going to remove all of my pins that I used to hold this fabric in place. So now watch what I am going to do. This is very simple. It's just the same way you attach your yoke that you've done countless times. So if you've not actually worked with a sharp edge, it's going to be quite tricky for you to work with this sweetheart neckline. So to work with your sweetheart neckline, make sure that the pointed edge comes out a bit, maybe like 0.5 or 0.25. Then you sew from the center. You start from the middle point. You sew to the left. Then you come back again and you sew from the center again to the right. That is how to work with sweetheart neckline. That's how to sew. So you stitch it over by right side facing right side. So after flipping it and doing like that, you will need to cover up the rough edge. So you put your lining on top of it, right side facing right side, so that the yoke will be sandwiched in between the main fabric and the lining. So after you are done sewing, if you now flip it, you see that all your seams are in between the lining and the main fabric. Okay, so after you join the front together, now it is time to work with the back. And when you're joining the side, make sure it is remaining ½ inch, okay, because you're going to be using that ½ inch to join your cold shoulder sleeve that will be attaching. Okay, so we need that. Remember, by the side, okay, where your armhole is, make sure you leave 0.5, and it's going to be remaining 0 if you got the measurement right, because we already sewed the 0.5 inch on the yoke. So obviously it's going to be remaining 0.5 on the main fabric. So if it is not remaining 0.5 or whatever allowance you left, that means you did it wrongly. So we are going to do the same thing for the back. You sandwich your yoke in between and you sew. Remember to mark out your zipper allowance also when you are sewing. Okay, so now let us work on the lower part. So I told you that I'm going to gather the net, the 3 yards that I cut out by the length, which is the 6.5. yeah. So now I gathered everything to our original waistline. Original waistline is 24.5 plus 2 inches, which is for our zipper. So you can go ahead and you just stitch everything together to be one. That is totally optional. Okay, so now for this our mikado, which is going to be lining our tulle, I've gone ahead to also pleat it. Okay, then I left my 1 inch on both sides. I didn't pleat that side. This is very important for you not to, because if you pleat where the zipper is going to be, it's going to be too bulky and for the zipper to pass through. So you need to make sure that that part is as free as possible. So I've gone ahead to attach my hard net. You can see what I did. So I cut out 10 pieces of that 7 inches. The length of the yard is by 70. Okay, so I went ahead to just cut out 10 pieces of it. by the length, which is 7 inches, and I did it inside. Remember I told you it's going to be on the wrong side. Okay, so it's very simple. Just cut out your pieces and you pleat on it. Then we are done. All you need to do now is just to put all your fabrics in place together. So I have gone ahead to sew everything together, just like I said. So I'm going to be telling you how I did this, just to reinforce what I did. The first layer that I did is to put this design. Okay, is to put the design, that flower like design. Look at how neat the inside is. I told you, you join the fabric to fabric and lining to lining. Don't attach your lining together to your fabric. So the first thing I did was to put this piece. Then I actually did a little bit of pleating. So I put 3 in front, then 2 at the back. Make sure the difference between each of the flower is the same, because you want it to align. So the way I joined my 2 nets, I joined it 2. You know, we have 4, so I joined 2 first of all, so because it can really be confusing. So I joined 2 first, then I joined 2 again. So that's all for the 4 piece. Okay, so now the next layer that I did was to add this our Mikado, or you can use your net. So remember that you have to leave 1 inch, and like I said earlier, do not pleat. There shouldn't be pleating at that 1 inch for your zipper allowance, because if you don't, the person will be finding difficult to zip out down your waistline because it is too bulky. Okay, so you can say I did the same thing for our layer. You can use your doll face or whatever layer it is, and that is our main fabric. So now look at the lining. We are going to be joining the lining to the lining, like I said, lining to lining, fabric to fabric, so everything is going to be neat, and I did it inside like that. So now you can see how neat the inside of this ball dress is. It is neat both outside and inside, and this is looking good and looking neat. So you can iron, like I said, as you're sewing, make sure you iron so that it comes out beautifully and there is no rumpled parts. That is one of the ways to make your work professional. So now the last thing for us to do, like the major last thing for us to do, is to attach our zipper. Now watch how you're supposed to attach your zipper. No matter the amount of layers you have to attach everything one at a time. So you mark where you want your zipper to stop from the waistline. I want mine to stop by 6 inches from the waistline. You can make yours longer, you can make yours shorter. So I'm going to stop at 6 inches. Then the remaining parts, I'm just going to join it together. So I will join the lining together. The lining to lining, each pieces, you're joining together. So just watch what I am going to do. If you don't do it, you will see that your work, after joining, if you join everything together, it will be so hard. It will just look funny at the center back. That is why it's important for you to join this separately. So you join your lining separately. You do the same thing for the fabric for the main part. See the way I folded it. Just watch what I am going to do. So you just fold it. Make sure that they are in alignment and they are in the proper shape that is supposed to take. Okay, so remember, right side facing right side. That's how you're supposed to join. So I'm going to do the same thing. You measure 6 inches from your waistline and you sew the remaining part. Then for your 2 nets, do not join everything together. Even if you have 20 layers, you have to join it separately. So you take the first layer, you measure your zipper opening, then you join it the same way you joined your lining and this main fabric. You do it one by one. So you join the first layer, to the first layer, you join the third layer to the third layer. So you have to be careful when working with this, because one layer might just hide under another one. So as you are joining, you have to be counting, okay, it's remaining 2 layers, so that you've not joined the third one to the first one, or the third one to the second one. Okay, so you have to be careful while doing this. So now, after you've joined all of your pieces one after the other, so the next thing is for us to just put your zipper. So you're going to be joining everything together. You put all of your pieces together and you join it. Remember, depending on the zipper that you're using, I'm using an invisible zipper. So if you should know how to fix an invisible zipper, and if you do not, just let me know. So you fix your zipper on the main fabric first. So now, after doing that, the next thing is for you to now cover it up with your lining, so that all of your seams is going to be inside. So now the next thing is to work on the collar. I already made a video on how to do this, so I'm going to put in the description box on how to make a mandari collar. Just check it out. So you just take the circumference of your neckline, the neckline, the neck circumference that you have on the clothes. That is what you're going to use to draft and cut it out. So you can check the tutorial by putting it in the description box, how to cut a mandarin collar. So that is the type of collar that was used in this outfit. So you can go well to check. Like I said, I'm not going to waste time. Then the next thing is to put your cold shoulder sleeve, and I'm using this net, and we have 2 layers. So we are going to be gathering the midpoint. So you can use, let's say, 7 inches. You can measure the bicep of your kid, so you can use 7 inches times 3, so that's like 21 inches. So that is where you're going to gather. So you gather it back to 7 inches, then you just attach it to your body. So that's why I say you have to leave ½ inch. So I'm going to do all of that. So now this is how I just decided to show you how to join your ad nets. So all you need to do is just follow the line. You can see, you just follow the line gradually and you pleat it. It is not hard at all. So you can see that the layer that I'm working on is covering the other layer that is underneath. So it's as simple as that. If you are here to subscribe, please do well to subscribe. It's going to mean a lot to me. And do well to check other tutorials on my channel as well. I have wonderful and detailed tutorial for you. Okay, so if you have any requests, make sure you drop it, and also be part of my community. Anytime I drop a post, make sure you comment and like. Okay, so I've gone ahead. You can see how seamless our midpoint is. I didn't mean you clustered all of it together. You see that it's really not going to look professional. You can just try it out, okay, and you see the results you're going to get. So you can see how seamless the midpoint is. Everything is separate and is looking good. See, it's looking good. So now I just decided to just show you what I did for my zipper. So I used pin to hold my zipper down on both the right side and the wrong side on my 1 inch. Then I pulled the zip, I just pulled it down. Okay, so you go ahead and you just sew like that. That is the main. I just decided, you know what, let me just show you how to do this in case you're confused at any point. So after sewing it, you just flip your lining over just like you see me do, and then you sew on it. Remember that now you can't see it. All you need to do, you just have to feel where the teeth is, so that when you're sewing, you don't sew on the teeth of your zipper, thereby spoiling your zipper. So you just go ahead and you stitch it just on it, just like you stitch the main fabric, and everything is going to be neat and proper. So thank you so much for watching to this point. I really appreciate. Thank you so much. Make sure that you try this out. Yes, so try this out. So all of this, you can just do it. Then after that, you put all of your embellishments, whatever embellishment you would like. You put your brooch in the center of your mandari collar, put your beads all around. So thank you so much. Good morning, afternoon, and night, wherever you are watching. Thank you. I love you. Bye. See you in my next tutorial. If you have any question, drop it in the comments section. Bye.